Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
All right, so the second rookie quarterback debut of the year is upon us. Shedeur Sanders has played 2 quarters in his first action in the NFL. Now, I'm sure you have heard all the caveats about Shedeur Sanders that most people have thrown out there, and those caveats are true. Shedeur Sanders is a backup quarterback who had to step in without first-team reps in the middle of a game versus the Baltimore Ravens, a team that I wouldn't have even been comfortable throwing in Shedeur versus with full reps, right? Like, even if he was the starter outright, they benched Dylan Gabriel. I wasn't a fan of playing him in that game. Certainly not great for him to have to show up in relief duty, and the results weren't amazing. That being said, we got to evaluate what's there and ask ourselves the questions when we look on film. Does this feel like he could have had better preparation for this game? And if he had better preparation, he could have been more successful. Does this feel like something that reps can fix, or does this feel like something that's beyond the scope of something like more reps in practice in a given game week is going to change? I think there's a lot of different answers there depending on what play that we're talking about here. There's some good in this tape. There's a lot of things that make me have some questions about what was going on in the process in this tape. But it's important to keep in mind that it's just 2 quarters of football, and that Shedeur's story is going to be longer than 2 quarters of football, right? Doesn't mean that he's a bum because he had 2 bad quarters of football. Doesn't mean that, he's going to turn out to be amazing because he had a couple of flashes in those 2 quarters of football. Got to keep an even head with this, and I've always been open and hoping that people would listen. But I think people should be open to the idea that maybe Shedeur's journey is going to be a little bit longer than what you would want, right, to get to where he needs to be. I know that a lot of people bring up Geno Smith as his pre-draft comp. I had him closer to like Teddy Bridgewater. I think his worst case scenario was like Mac Jones to me, Teddy Bridgewater, and I think best case scenario was Tua. And I still think that that's the range of results you could possibly get out of Shedeur Sanders. But I do think the time it's going to take to get to one of those results is underestimated right now. I think some folks feel like he's going to be that in year 2, year 3. Look at a guy like Geno Smith, who Shedeur was compared to in the pre-draft process because his tape reminded people of Geno Smith's tape. Geno, it took a while for Geno to be in a position for him to be a plus level starter in the NFL. That could be the journey for Shedeur. Maybe it won't take that long. Maybe it will, but I think people should be open to the idea that it might not just happen all in one year or even all with one team with Shedeur Sanders, and that the journey might be a little bit longer than it would be for a quarterback who was taken in the first or second round, who's going to get all the opportunity and all the reps in the world, right? He's on a different path because of where he was drafted, and I think that people should be open to maybe that being the case for Shedeur. That being said, we're going to evaluate what he put on tape. We're going to talk about what I think is good, what's encouraging, what I hope he fixes over this week of practice. So let's jump into it. But real quick, let me thank my sponsor, Sleeper. Real quick, just want to let you guys know Sleeper has a new offer here. They're offering a free $20 entry, no deposit required. And also, if you're a first-time user, you also will receive a 100% match on up to $100 when you use the promo code Worst Take. Again, $20 free, no deposit required. Plus, first-time users also receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Join Sleeper. All right, so let's look at the tape here for Shedeur. Now, first couple plays, I thought was a really good job by the offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, to get him in an easy win situation. You have a first down and 10 here. This is his first play. They just move the pocket right, crease the field a little bit, And then there, boom, right there. There's a wide open lane to hit Cedric Tillman at the bottom of your screen. Easy completion. And what does that do? That gets the Browns ahead of the sticks and gets them on a 2nd and 5. Unfortunately, and look, this is a huge part to why the Browns offense looks like it does, regardless of who's playing quarterback. On the next play, the Cleveland Browns get a 10-yard holding penalty, which turns this from a 2nd and 5 and you being ahead of the sticks to 2nd and 15. So already, you know, the Browns offense is not good. You don't have great wide receivers. The offensive line's not great. And this has been the case for every single quarterback that stepped in there. And why I say consistently, this is just a hard place to be successful at quarterback with how things are set up right now, regardless of how talented you think the starter is. Because now you're in 2nd and 15 and you're being asked to kind of execute at a higher level than I think Tommy Rees wanted to ask him to execute, right? I think Tommy Rees just wanted to get this guy ahead of the sticks early and often, quick throws, quick decisions to get him comfortable. Now, he does a good job there, getting to about a 3rd and 8, but this is still a tough conversion here, right? You're going to see the Ravens on this play. They're going to do something that Shedeur's going to see if he plays next week a ton. And what the Ravens are doing right here, it's called sim pressure. Now, sim pressure means they're going to put a bunch of guys on the line, and they're going to make you guess who's coming, who's going, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to confuse Shedeur because they think they can confuse Shedeur. That was obviously a big part of Baltimore's game plan once Shedeur stepped onto the field. They felt like they can rush him and confuse him at the line of scrimmage. And they successfully confused him at the line of scrimmage here. So there's 2 things that happen. One, if you're Shedeur, I don't know what happened that got your eyes off the middle of the field here, right? Because they're showing double mug, which means your linebackers are on the line sitting in the A-gap. You know that if they're blitzing, middle of the field's going to be open. And if they're not blitzing, they're going to have to cover ground to get back to the middle of the field so you can beat them with the ball. So if you're looking at this look, a double mug look, more than likely, they want your eyes to be here in the middle of the field. Instead, he has his eyes out wide here. There's nothing quick coming that way. So I don't think that that's a good response to pressure here. Right? Eyes out there. Also, whoever this wide receiver is, whether it's Gage Larvin or Isaiah Bond, I can't really tell from here. 1, god awful route. 2, get your fucking eyes around. Like, you could have completed this if the wide receiver gets his eyes around. But look how long Bond takes to get his eyes around. Like, I need you to get your eyes around. Like, show the quarterback your eyes right here so he knows that you're looking and you're ready for this ball. Because he's not going to throw that slant into a void without you being there, right? Like, he's halfway into this cut. Look at this shit. Look at the banana route, too. It's a terrible route here by Bond. Yeah, this is ugly. This is disgusting shit here. So, I mean, this is supposed to be a quick slant, I believe. But it's an ugly route, and Bond is like half almost done with this route before he gets his eyes around. So I don't think he was supposed to get the ball there, right? I don't think that's where Shedeur's eyes were supposed to be. Whenever you see a wide receiver doesn't have their eyes up, 1, that's bad wide receiver play, so it's a negative grade for Isaiah Bond. But 2, that shows you that wide receiver didn't think they were going to get the ball because they're not the read. I think the read here is middle of the field. You see this look. Hey, let's see what opens up in the middle. We got David hovering over the ball. And you'll see right here, David's wide open, hover over the ball, and it's David Njoku, so he could get that first down that's right here. So you would want him to throw this to David, especially once you realize that Isaiah Bond is not getting those eyes around anytime soon. Now, again, maybe with this look, they had it schemed up to where they liked going to this quick slant on the off coverage looks that they're showing. That would be inconsistent with what they did the rest of the game, but it's possible. I think the ball should have gone to David here. he's wide open, so they got to figure out what they want the priority to be. They got to talk to Shedeur about what his response versus these kind of looks are going to have to be. Because I think if there's one thing that definitely needs to improve from his first 2 quarters to his next 4 quarters, he has to develop better responses versus pressure, because what we saw in this game was just not adequate at all. It was pretty poor. So has to be better with a response to pressure here. And then, cherry on top here, right? You lose a solid 12 yards of field position here, which you might not think matters, right? A lot of people don't appreciate the field position game. But when you're in a defensive game like this, you want to play that field position game. Right now, if you punt the ball from here, well, let's say you go through the play, you get David Njoku, you throw it to David right here, and let's say Roquan gets a good tackle on David, and takes David out about right here. Let's say he gets David here, so it's a 4th and 2. You're not gonna go for that, but a punt from here, right? Has a much bigger difference, a much better chance of being pinned within the 10 than a punt from all the way back here on the 15. So you're losing a lot of field position too by taking that sack, not getting rid of the ball. We're not acting like this is all Shedeur is going to be, and we're not closing the book on him. I want to be very clear on that. But we do have to talk about what happened in the game and what needs to improve when you see him the next time, so we can have a baseline to judge him off of when we see him the next time to say, hey, this improved or this didn't improve. So you can see it right here from the end zone too. It's a clean passing lane. You really should get this ball off to David. If you get that ball to David too before Roquan turns around, you probably get a first down and maybe even a chunk play. Got to take that answer when it's there. By the way, look at this wicked shit that Kyle Hamilton does to Jerome Ford. It's wicked, dude. Little spin move, nasty. And Kyle Hamilton's a really good football player. All right, let's go to the next play. This 3rd quarter, about 4 minutes, 44 seconds left. This is the interception. Again, you're going to see 3rd down. Ravens really liked these sim-presh looks. A lot of guys in the line of scrimmage. Double mug here. It's a 3rd and 10, so you're probably not going to have an answer over the middle of the field. Now, Shedeur, here's what I like about this play from Shedeur. Right? Obviously, it's an interception. It's not going to be a positively graded play. But here's what I like. I like that he stood in there, took the hit, and didn't roll backwards. Because if he rolls backwards here, he could easily roll into the end zone and cost you 2 points on top of throwing an interception, right? So that could have been a lot worse. I like that he planted, stayed, and tried to make a throw here. I think the decision he made was really poor. So he throws this to Jerry Jeudy. And I can't justify why he threw this to Jerry Jeudy. What we have here is an out and then a comeback, a deep comeback. And the problem with this is that Shedeur throws this like it's a deep out. But the corner he's never lost that leverage throughout this play. Watch Nate Wiggins here. He's playing that deep out here. So once, if your read was, oh yeah, I want to throw this deep out to Jerry Jeudy. Once you see Nate Wiggins play it like this right here, you got to get off that read. You can't throw it. Even if this route was supposed to be a deep out, you just can't throw it. So maybe there's an option in there for Jerry if he senses the leverage out there to just come back on this one. Given how this play looks like it's designed, it might be an option. But once you see this right here, And this is one of the more concerning plays for Shedeur, right? This is one where I don't think reps explains it, because this is just quarterback 101. You see the corner right here, you can't throw an out, right? Like you can't throw it out here. So he threw the out there, and it just, it didn't, also, like, he got hit. It didn't make it to where he wanted it to make, right? It was pretty underthrown as well. But yeah, just don't know about that. Especially when he had an answer right underneath it, right? Because he ends up throwing this. The answer's right here. Maybe he was trying to hit this and he just overthrew it, but it doesn't look like he's trying to throw this, because look at his feet. Like, his feet are telling you where this ball is trying to go. That ball's trying to go right here. He's trying to drive that ball right here. Yeah, I think he's trying to throw an out to Jerry Jeudy there. I don't think that ball is trying to go to Corley. He does have a little bit of an answer there with Corley, but it's a 3rd and 10. It's behind the sticks. Maybe you convert it, maybe you don't. But being able to punt there from the 20 is a lot better than turning the ball over and giving Baltimore the ball at the 15. Look at the pressure here, because he did have significant pressure in his lap. Again, it's a sim pressure look, and they sent 5 here. See here at the beginning, does he call out a protection slide? Okay, yeah, you can see here. So you see at the beginning of this clip, right here, you see Shedeur, he's pointing out the mic, right? So if we go back a little bit, this is a mic point right here, right? The mic point indicates to the offensive line where the slide's going to be, right? Because you want to indicate, okay, where's the mic? We're going to slide towards the mic, basically. It's how some of these protections work. So there's a mic point here. It looks like he's pointing to 38, so he thinks 38's coming. So they slide this one 3 jet to the right. So they jet this one over. Slide it out there, boom, right? He's wrong about who the mic was. He thought it would be 38. That's what it looks like he points to. 38 does not come. So he's wrong on the protection. And when you're wrong on the protection, it's gonna break. Jerome Ford tries his best to help here and peel Kyle Hamilton, but 53 loops around here, and because you slit the line in the wrong direction, you just don't have an answer here for this guy up the middle. So he just smacks you in the chest. So welcome to the NFL moment. And then this ball, it's just hard to get a read because he gets hit so hard on, like, was he trying? I think he was trying to throw the out. It looks 100% like he's trying to throw the out. Yeah. So he's trying to throw that out, and because he gets hit, it's short. It doesn't make it to the sideline either. And it's a big play, big negative play there. Yeah, that's something you hope gets better with reps, right? I don't know why he identified that ball there. Like, you got to get to Shedeur and ask him, hey, what did he see there that made him like the out there? You certainly got to get an answer to that question, because that's a little baffling there. But like the slide protection stuff, misidentifying the mic, that can get better with reps, but also, that's part of your pregame preparation. You got to watch the tape on the Ravens, whether you're a starter or not, know what their tendencies are, and be able to execute stuff like that. And it's tough to do against the Ravens, right? We saw Joe Flacco misidentify mic points here, and Dylan Gabriel probably had some moments like that in the first half as well. So, not to say that everybody's doing that well for this Browns team right now. All right, 4 minutes, 28 seconds left. Got Shedeur under center here. Yeah, so this is another play that I think Shedeur will want back. Almost throws a pick six here to Kyle Hamilton. Like, if Kyle catches this, he's gone. So not great there. My question to Shedeur is like, hey, why didn't you like David Njoku here? So he rolls out, and you get what you want because the linebacker's late to David. You see him hauling ass to try to close that lane. Yeah, why don't we like David here? I'm going to show you the end zone angle so you can see how much space David actually had there on that turnaround. So you just want to ask that question like, hey, man, what didn't you like about David there? Because it looks like on tape he was there. So again, you turn around and you can just see there's a lot of space there for David Njoku. It's not an easy throw, but it's certainly worth pulling the trigger right there. It's a lot of space. You got about like what, 8 yards north and about 8 yards south. So about a 16-yard window to hit there with David. With nobody really on his tail, you got to hit that window. That's something though, like this play. I expect this to get better with reps. This is something that 100% can get fixed with reps, right? Maybe he's just not going through the thing the way that Dylan does, and that's causing some issues with the receivers. But this, I think these are the kind of mistakes that can kind of be cleaned up with reps, you know? So I expect this kind of stuff to not continue, or at least I would hope. All right, we got a 3rd and 3 here. So nice 3rd and manageable. We talked about the Browns being behind the sticks constantly in this game. On the Cleveland 30. This is one where he runs. I don't mind this at all, right? I know some people are going to point out, oh, well, Jerry Jeudy was open for the first down here, but I actually don't mind him turning this down, right? So what's happening here? Say this is an out and this is a 9, right? Nate Wiggins is waiting for you to throw this shit. He's sitting on that. And I think Shedeur sees that and he denies it. And I think that's a good decision there, right? Maybe you could fit that window into Jerry Jeudy, but Nate Wiggins is waiting to come down and put a shoulder into the back of Jerry Jeudy and get him to drop that ball, possibly tip it up in the air. I can see a lot of bad outcomes by throwing that ball there. So yeah, it looks like he's open, and you could screenshot QB this and act like it's a huge miss by Shedeur. But I think this is actually fine. I like that he denied this, puts his foot in the ground, and he made a play here. So like that was a really nice play from Shedeur. Good run, way to put his foot in the ground. And I like the conviction here from Shedeur, right? Right when he realizes, okay, I don't want to throw that, he goes and just gets north here to try to get the 3rd down. The first down. Really like that. That's good. All right, this is another sack here. Obviously, you don't want him rolling backwards, losing all of that space. I also want him to, and this is something I expect he'll give this a chance once he gets more reps in, right? Because this is a timing ball. This is a tough ball that you got to get in rhythm, but it's one that you want to take once you get down pat with it, right? So I expect this to be better with reps. If you're wondering what's going to be improved with the reps, this could be something that's improved with reps. Jerry Jeudy here is where I want the ball to go. I understand why the ball didn't go to Jerry Jeudy here, but this is where you want the ball to go, right? He's on 101. Looks like too high. This is a too high beater. You get that corner route. Jerry does a good job planting that foot, getting those eyes around immediately. You would love for Shedeur to just stand tall right there at the 30 and just throw a nice ball to Jerry Jeudy there to convert. But that's a real tough ask, right? Your first start, well, you're not even your first start, your first gameplay. You haven't really thrown that much to Jerry. I can understand being a little hesitant here. So yeah, that's what you want to see him do. And again, the more he plays, if he's not doing that, that does become a problem. But that's an opportunity that was there that you would wish, that you want him to be in a better spot to take advantage of in a couple weeks. Right now, it's tough. Right now, all I ask of him is to get rid of the fucking ball if you're not going to throw it to Jerry, right? That's all I can really ask. It's like, okay, once you spin out of this one, realize you got lucky and get that shit out of there so you can at least preserve whatever field position you have so you can, play the field position game with your punter against Baltimore instead of, dropping yourself all the way back to the 25 and putting that in neutral field position. Can't do that. Not in a game like this. Let's look at the pressure here and what created it. Yeah, Posick just got beat. They actually do a good job tag teaming on Roquan Smith here, Wyatt Teller, and then Joe Batonio helping out there. Quinshawn kind of does a pretty shitty job protecting here. Gets blown up by that corner. But yeah, you got to have a better performance there from Ethan Posick, right? Need Posick to be able to anchor that, sit on that. Maybe if he has time, he feels like he can hit Jerry Jeudy there, but he gets spooked. You see where his eyes are to start. He's looking at Jeudy. He knows that's what he wants, but he gets a little spooked here, and he gets off of it, and now he's doing the rodeo, right? And we don't want him to do the rodeo. That's not where we want Shedeur to be at. The rodeo is not good. All right, another look. Look at this Simpresh look, right? Third quarter or fourth quarter, 3rd and 12 here. They're trying to get him off the field. This is another run here I do not mind at all. That's the one thing, that if you're going to go up against a lot of blitzes, it's important to be decisive in the pass game, but also when you're going to run, right? And what I liked here again, once he decided to break the pocket, he scanned around, looked for opportunities. Once he didn't feel like there were any, all right, let's go, let's run. Let's be decisive there. Like that. Good run. All right. Yeah, let's look at the pressure here. What created this pressure? And Joe Batonio got his ass beat that time from Travis Jones. Ooh, Joe ain't got that anchor no more. His back don't work like that no more. It's unfortunate, man. Here's also another thing that I think with reps will be beneficial. Let's go look at like Jerome Ford on this play from the sky angle. Jerome Ford goes to block for Shedeur, and I think what Shedeur wanted Jerome to do was run past. So what I think Shedeur wanted Jerome to do is to run past this linebacker and kind of force him into a high-low, right? And Jerome just kind of blocks him because he thinks he's going to clear a window, and he almost does for Shedeur to get the first down. So it's not a terrible result there from Jerome. But I think, again, more reps. I think he'll be able to communicate, hey, if I'm on the boundary, go north. I want to get that high-low because I want to throw it, not run it. And they'll be able to work that out in practice. So that's something where I think reps will matter there. Got to do a better job protecting. So this one, I don't really know why he pulled the trigger on this. It seems like a bad decision. So on this side, this is what they're running. He decides to go tight here into this window right when Fanon breaks. I just don't know what gave him the clear on that read. So if we get here, there's just nothing to indicate that that's where you wanted to go with this ball. I think the watch here for this, right? You want to watch this triangle on the field, right, for this read, because what you're trying to do is kind of force some miscommunication here. You see how all three of those routes go through that area of the field here? So you got to watch this triangle if you're Shedeur, or at least I think that's what you would want him to do, and read this triangle. And I just don't see how reading this gets him to that answer, right? You know that this looks like what? Look like 1 or 3. So you know middle field closed. And if you're reading this, the second that you see Kyle Hamilton, who is on that level of the field, the widest defender, right? So this guy is playing off deep cushion, widest defender. Once you see him go with the in, you have to take the chaser, right? Because you look at that and boom, Cedric Tillman's wide open here. So yeah, you want to read this play a little better if you're Shedeur. Right? You should be able to get through that a little better here. Definitely can't just throw blind into the middle of the field. And this is also a criticism of Dylan Gabriel that has had like 6 weeks of evidence there too. Yeah, just don't want to be throwing blind here, you know? Just like hoping that it lands. All right, where are we at? 4:45 here. Okay, so this one he almost got a safety too. Now he got rid of the ball to his credit before he even was close to safety. So I won't say he actually almost got. He didn't get a safety there, or didn't almost get a safety. Yeah, my thing here with Shedeur, and this is more of a question for the Browns offense than anything. There's been multiple times, 3 different quarterbacks now, right? Shedeur's the third one, where we see this big cushion here between the two, and we're not attacking that cushion. You know? And when I mean attacking that cushion, I mean we're not throwing at that cushion here. Like we're running a curl, a 10-yard curl right into that. That could be a first down. Why is that not where we're telling the quarterback's eyes to be? Why are our eyes over here at this matchup with the safety over top? Like it just, I don't get that. I don't get that. Right? I don't like that at all. Now maybe this is Shedeur's fault. He had his eyes in the wrong place. Maybe this is the coaching staff's fault, and they want you to look at these things. I don't know. All I know is that you got a big cushion here, pre-snap, 3-19, and we don't take advantage of it when we see it there. Instead, we're focused on keeping our eyes on this half of the field. Maybe that's a coaching thing. Maybe that's a Shedeur thing, but that's a question that needs to be asked. Because it feels like a lost opportunity there. All right. Let's look at the pressure here on this play. Travis Jones, Mike Green doing a good job. Who is that? Calvin Noy. So Kyle Hamilton's just a game wrecker, man. He's so fucking annoying. Oh my goodness. He thought it was a slip screen. He just followed Jerome. He just what an annoying, smart pesk of a player Kyle Hamilton is. I really respect him. Calvin Noy does a good job on this twist. And yeah, there's a pressure there. Now let's see where the pressure was when we get to the top of that curl. See if he even had time to get that off. No, he had time. Well, no, that's the other play. Yeah. See if he even had time to get this off. He left a little early. He could have stood in there and threw it. But that's only if his eyes are in the right spot to start the play. And for whatever reason, they liked his eyes being there. Okay. All right, 231. This is marked down as a really nice throw, so this must be that dig he threw. Yeah, this is nice. What I love about this too, look at Shedeur in the pocket, right? No drift, stood there, planted, drove. You see there? Stood there, planted, drove. Nice football. Good job. His best stuff's when he's not drifting in the pocket. It's a big part of his game that will improve once he gets better at that. Good job here. Good anticipation. Nice, accurate football. Great decision. That's a plus throw right there. Like it. Believe he got a big time throw for this one, right? Again, look at the poise in the pocket here. This is just a brief glimpse of what you hope Shedeur could be, right? Brief, but a glimpse nonetheless. He stands in there, nice little pop step, stands in there, takes some heat. Big ass Travis Jones is right around his ear hole. He just ignores it and he drives his football. Boom, right there. Nice. He made a similar throw like that in the preseason game versus the Carolina Panthers. That's more or less what you want to see from him. Let's go into the next play here. 2 minutes left in the fourth, 1st and 10, and he's just late to this curl. So throwing the curl to Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is right here. Watch Jerry Jeudy. This is just late. By the time Jerry is, you see when Jerry's eyes will tell you when the ball needs to be out. Right here is where this ball needs to be traveling towards Jerry Jeudy, right? Because he's already trying to track it. Once you set in, it just gives the defender way too much time to react. You're begging for a pass deflection. So Shedeur's got to be a little bit faster with this. And again, more reps will probably help this kind of stuff, right? The rhythm and timing stuff, more reps will help with this. Yeah, just a little late here. Not the biggest deal in the world. We just got to speed it up a little bit. All right, 155. Oh, man, they missed the opportunity here. If they could have blitzed better. I think this is a good rep from Shedeur. Like, for what this rep turned into, I thought this was a nice rep from him. One of his better reps of the day. He gets pressured here by Malachi Starks. He has to get rid of this one late. And look, kudos to him to throwing a catchable ball here to Harold Fain and under all that pressure. So I would grade this throw positively. Here's the missed opportunity part of it. Really has less to do with Shedeur, more to do with the offensive line. Watch Isaiah Bond here and watch how open he gets. So that's Isaiah Bond. Let's see how open he gets. Oh. Now by the time he pops open, unfortunately, there is a grown man, Malachi Starks, in Shedeur Sanders' face. So couldn't get that opportunity there. Not really something I'm going to blame on Shedeur, though. That is tough, right? Once you feel this pressure, you gotta work down and get rid of this ball quickly. And I thought he did a good job of that. Got rid of this one with somebody in his face. It's an accurate ball. That's fine. It's good. All right, this is quarter 4, 3rd and 10. Again, they're giving you that sim pressure look. Does a good job of just throwing the check down, right? And I know people give Dylan shit for this, and people have given every quarterback in the Brown system for this. But hey, man, this is why it's okay to throw the check down on 3rd down every once in a while. Because it's better than taking a sack and it's better than an incompletion, right? Give a guy a chance to make a play. He's a little late, but it's fine. Gets it to Jerry Jeudy. Jerry has to kind of come back to the ball and bring it in, and then he goes north. And then Jerry Jeudy just goes nuclear here on the run after catch. Great job there. Way to make a play for your quarterback if you're Jerry Jeudy. Real simple stuff, right? Just get the ball to your playmakers and let your playmakers make plays. Sometimes it works out for you. Extended the drive right there. It's another run here from Shedeur. We'll watch it. Again, they're giving him nothing but sim pressure looks here. Just decides to run. I don't mind that decision. Don't think there was anybody open. So this play right here is another one where I'm like, hey, I think I like what I saw here from Shedeur. This is him finding a window, right? So rolls out here, don't love the constant rolling out that he does, but he does do a good job of creating a window here, right? Because Isaiah Bond in this corner at the top of your screen, there's really no space there. But what Shedeur tries to do with this throw does actually create space. So it's a really good idea. The execution is not where you want it to be. But again, more reps, they can have better chemistry, and you would hope he's more comfortable making that kind of a throw here. But yeah, that's a really good job creating a window there. Because there was nothing there. He created a window. And that's the one thing that we know for a fact Shedeur can do. He did it in the preseason, even in the games where he struggled in, is find or create windows out of structure. The problem that Shedeur is having right now is, if you're watching this, right, and you look at his numbers overall, 416, he just hasn't been successful enough operating the base offense for it to matter as often that he can make these kind of plays out of structure. And in order for this to hit the way that you want it to hit, you got to be better at some of the more basic stuff in the offense than Shedeur is right now. Some of this is going to get better with reps. We talked about it. Some of it, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. You know what I mean? The pocket habits, stuff like that, stuff that's kind of been on Shedeur's tape for a very long time, even at Colorado and Jackson State. You know, that's the stuff that's gonna that I wonder how quickly you can really solve that. You know, but this is a nice example of what traits does Shedeur have that gets people excited about him. I think his ability to play, make, and find windows out of structure is certainly there. It's not enough to live off of, but it is something that's there. And if he can get to a certain level operating just base offenses, whether it's Kevin's offense or somebody else's offense, and then you get this kind of playmaking on top of it, then yeah, you have a Geno Smith-like quarterback when Geno was on the Seahawks. All right. Get to the final two plays of the game. This is 3rd and 5. Another sim pressure look. So this is a really good throw by Shedeur. I just think the decision here is pretty bad. So good throw, back shoulder, and then if Gage Larvin catches it, nobody cares it's a bad decision. And it's not the worst decision in the world. It's only bad because of what else is going on in the play. So Gage Larvin, one-on-one look there. You try to give him a back shoulder ball. I don't mind it. But the reason I call this a bad decision is watch Jerry Jeudy on this play. Again, remember, it's 3rd and 5. You got 1 minute, 8 seconds left. Yeah, that's my problem with it. Jerry Jeudy is wide, butt booty naked open right here. First down, it's right there. I get it. You want to be aggressive and try to like tie the game up. But also remember, that's Lamar Jackson on the other side. It's okay to score a little slow here, right? Like, you don't need to get it all and give the Ravens 1 minute left to try to get an answer back. And also, like, look, man, just make your life easier because you get this ball to Jerry Jeudy on time. There's only really one guy looking at it right now because you look here, Nate Wiggins is not looking at it. Kyle Hamilton's not looking at it. This guy is focused on Gage Larvin, and he's going to carry up the seam, which means this is the only guy looking. If Jerry can break that tackle, he could score on this play too. You got to get the ball to Jerry Jeudy here, right? You know, I get it. It's tough being a backup, but this is just, you got to look at what the defense does and you got to react to it. And that's more about film study, right, than it is about reps during the practice week. What we're seeing here, Jerry Jeudy out, and in a DB blitz, if you're Shedeur, once you see that DB blitz, this should be where the ball goes. There's no reason for the football to go anywhere else but right here. That's 100% where that ball should go. You know? And that there's enough space there to where you could not have thrown to a guy a ton of times and still make that throw to Jerry Jeudy. So you got to make that throw there. You got to just continue the game, get the ball to your playmaker. You can't deny this wide open look for a third down because you want to take a one-on-one shot with a fourth-string UDFA wide receiver. You just can't deny that. That's bad process. You got to throw this here. You just got to. Because if you get to the 20 at least, that's a first down. Maybe you get the ball to the 10. You kill some time off the clock. You got timeouts, so you don't have to worry about losing time. You're just taking time from Baltimore. You get an easier opportunity to kind of take the game away from Baltimore, or at least tie the game up. You can't put the game on Gage Larvin's shoulders here. Is when there's an answer with your number one wide receiver right there. You just can't. That's a bad decision. It's a nice throw, and I think there's something to take away from that nice throw. But ultimately, it's a poor decision here. And we get to the final play here. Again, another Simpresh look. They're trying to speed up his process. He jumped off sides. I don't know why people are acting like that was not obvious. Look at this shit. Yo, Wyatt Teller was right to be furious. Look at this offsides right here. Come on. If that was Myles Garrett, they call that shit. Like, what are we talking about? Holy shit. This is the offsides. People are like, well, it's too minute. No, that's obviously offsides. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, so offsides there. That sucks. And this is just tough, right? This is tough. Get pressure in your face. You roll out. You do find David Njoku there, which I do think is the right place to go with the football. Like, if he were Josh Allen, I would say, oh, Josh Allen's got to throw that right there, right? That's what Josh Allen's got to throw, but I don't expect him to be Josh Allen. This is exactly where you want to go with the ball. It's a little off target, but given the circumstance, I could live with that. I think this is fine. This is a fine rep. Like, yeah, he got a little spooky there. But, you know, considering the circumstances, I'm not going to be too tough on it. So what did we learn by watching that? There's some good in that tape, right? I think there's some flashes of what Shedeur could be. There are also some things that, you know, make me feel like the floor for the offense is a little bit lower when he's out there right now, right? Because there are some things that he's not really executing well that you would expect, whoever else is out there to execute at a little bit higher of a level. We'll see what he looks like when he gets some reps next week. He's probably going to play next week. Quarterbacks with concussions, they usually don't start the week after that. The only time I can remember that happening is like Colt McCoy came back into the game with a concussion. But other than that, that was a whole different era of football. You're probably not going to have the quarterback come in early off of concussion. I mean, CJ Stroud's been out for 2 weeks here. So Shedeur's going to get some opportunities this upcoming week against the Ravens. I mean, not the Ravens, the Raiders. We'll see how much of a difference the reps make. I think it will make a difference with some things. I think there are some larger issues with Shedeur's game that, it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to not only getting the first team reps, but having a team game plan against him, because that's the other side of this whole reps conversation, right? Yeah, it's important to get the reps, but now a team has some film on you. They know how you respond to pressure. They know how you respond to different sim pressure looks. They're going to now game plan stuff against you as well. How do you respond to that? Because I imagine the Raiders are going to blitz him until he finds answers quickly. And that's been a problem for Shedeur that I don't know if more reps is going to necessarily solve in 1 week. And also his response to pressure as far as how he reacts physically to it hasn't been the greatest either. And that's not something that gets better by dealing with it. We've seen that eat up guys all season. So we'll see how he looks against the Raiders, but that's how he looked here. I think Pro Football Focus gave him a 30 grade on it. It's about 30, 40, right? It's not good. You go 4.16, you're not going to get a high grade. There were some opportunities that were left on the field there. Is it enough to throw him in the garbage and never play him again? Absolutely not. But we'll see what this next week is. And I think this plus what we see next week will give us a much better picture on what Shedeur could be. That being said, let me know what you think. Have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.